Good afternoon, Chef Amy's class, and good afternoon to my class. Today I'm going to do a demo on making couscous. Couscous is nothing more than a grainy pasta made of semolina. It's used, the Middle Eastern people use it a lot with stews and curries and things that have a little sauce to it, so that when you do eat the couscous, you're not feeling that you're eating it just by itself, because it's a mouthfeel and you pretty much want to have something in it, in my opinion, to give it a little bite, to give it some texture so it's more enjoyable. So this is what we're going to do first today. I have some chicken base over on my stove, warming up, keeping it hot so that when we get ready to add it to the couscous, we'll have it. I have about a cup of couscous, and I'm going to use, couscous is 1-to-1, okay? That means 1 cup of grain of pasta, 1 cup of water, okay? So, or stock or whatever you're going to be using. I'm also going to use just a basic mirepoix. I have some onion, some carrot, and some celery, and a little parsley. I'm going to saute or sweat my vegetables in a little olive oil. I'm going to season it with a little salt. Remember, when you're using your chicken base and your salt, be very careful, because chicken base is much different from chicken stock. Can anybody tell me why? Ladies?
Yes, balls and some don't have. The chicken base is a lot more condensed.
Exactly. And the chicken stock is, what do? What do we avoid when we're making chicken stock? Salt, right? So we don't want to put any salt into it, right? So the chicken base is salty. So when I add my salt, because you guys know that I like salt, I want to make sure that I don't add too much, okay? So I think that's about it. Oh, and I'm going to give it a little acid just to heighten the flavor, all right? So let's get started. I'm going to turn on my little oven, handy dandy hot plate here. And I'm going to add in just a little bit of olive oil, not too much. I want to be very careful with that. And just going to heat that up some, okay? And with couscous, as you can see, couscous is very small, and when it cooks, it's going to swell a little bit. But I want you to keep this in mind, because when I did my aromatics or my mirepoix, I tried to make sure that I went only a smidge bigger than a brunoise. Okay, it's not a small dice, but it's not a brunoise either. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I don't want the aromatics or the mirepoix to take over the couscous. You know, I sort of want to have that balance of size. I know I'm never going to get a size really small like this couscous, but I don't want it to be big, huge pieces either, okay? So just keep that in mind. Some people add eggplant to it. Eggplant, I happen to think, is a little bit big for it, so you might want to just, always just keep in mind that you want to have that little balance. All right, so I'm not going to use all of this mirepoix. I'm just going to use some of it. So I'm going to add in my onion. I'm going to add in more of my carrot because I don't have a whole lot of color. So I'm going to add in some carrot, and then I'm going to add in some of my celery. All right. And at this point, because I subscribe from the school that every element of the dish needs to be seasoned, I'm going to go ahead and put in a little salt. Okay. And I'm just going to sweat this. And what I often tell my class, when you're doing this, you don't want any burned vegetables, okay? Especially when you're making things like risotto or rice pilaf. You don't want to have a whole lot of burned vegetables in this. And that's because you want that color to be really pretty. You want to keep the integrity of the star here, which is going to be this nice, bright couscous, all right? But if you had some red or some purples, like eggplant, red bell pepper, nice tomatoes, little grape tomatoes that you could, add in for some texture. That'd be nice too, okay? Couscous. It does not take a long time to cook couscous, guys, all right? Not at all. 5 minutes at the most. The one thing that you should know about couscous is that once you cook it, you need to turn it out onto a sheet pan or something and break it apart so they can cool down, okay? You don't want it to stay in the pan because it'll clump up on you, all right? Even though you're taking your fork and you're piercing it a little bit, fluffing it a little bit, you still want to turn it out onto a pan, all right? So they can cool properly, all right? Any questions so far, ladies? right, so I'm gonna give this just a tad bit longer, and I'm gonna go over, you keep watching, I'm gonna go over and get my stock. I'll be right back. So what I'm going to do is, because I need to cook this down a little bit because it doesn't take long to cook couscous. So you remember when we were talking about doing eggs? Well, same premise. The filling, in my opinion, needs to be cooked a little bit because the couscous cooks so quickly. All right? And although, yeah, you want some al dente or some bite to your vegetables, you don't want them to be raw, right? So just make sure you cook them down a little bit. If you need to add in a little bit more oil, you can. I think I'm going to add in just a tad bit more. All right? Just something to give it some flavor. Plus, you don't want it to stick to the bottom of your pan because, again, you want to keep that really pretty color, right? So you have to keep this moving with regards to sauteing it off. Especially if you're going to put garlic in it, okay? And I want to go back to one other thing. If you're going to put bell pepper or eggplant or anything like that in it, you need to cook that first before you even think about sauteing it, okay? It needs to be cooked because it takes too long to cook that, and you're adding in your small vegetables. Just the cooking time will be off, all right? So I think I got something going here that I like. Can you guys see that? Hold on, I'll be right there. Oops. All right. Okay, so we're gonna just keep going just for a second longer. All right, yeah. All right, so at this point in time, I'm gonna take about a cupful of my chicken base, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and add it over here. Oops. I got about a cup, maybe a little more. So I'm gonna take some of that out. And I'm gonna go ahead and add it to my pan, all right? And I'm gonna go ahead and add in my couscous, all right? And then I'm gonna give it a stir, all right? And I'm looking at my my base here. It's not that salty just because I've been doing this for a minute and I know. So I'm just gonna give it a pinch of salt, turn up the heat, and let this cook. I'm gonna cover it. And like I say, in about 5 minutes, it should be done, okay? You can, once this is done, you can adjust the seasoning as needed. And then, you know, you want to play around with it even more, you can. So I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to come back and show you exactly what it looks like. Okay? Thanks for watching.